Good morning, CLC. Thank you for being here. Thank you for celebrating this wonderful Sunday with us. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful week so far. I hope you are enjoying the weather. I don't know where you are and how the weather is, but here it is absolutely gorgeous. Lisa will have some beautiful pictures up later on today of the flowers that are starting to bloom in our garden. So definitely look forward to that. So with that, I invite you now to say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is. And now, I invite you to relax. Take a few deep breaths. Just let your body just melt into whatever chair or bed or wherever you may be right now. Allow your shoulders to just drop down. If you need to, go ahead and loosen up a little bit. Put whatever things you have going on in your mind aside, just for now. And allow yourself to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one and all is well. As we begin the inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your right hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging the higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems, while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of the infinite presence, I simply speak these words. I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only constructive, positive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. In visualizing the idea as already acted upon and brought to pass, in seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I am grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence in saying, I am grateful for the good in your life.
Good morning, Creative Life. They never know what I'm going to say. Well, happy Pi Day. Do you know it's Pi Day? 314. So now we know what to do.
Eat pie.
Eat pie. Eat lots of pie.
Or do math.
Or do math. Who would rather do which? Let's see the hands.
Math.
I bet Brian would rather do math. Lisa'd rather do math. No. Pie. Pie. All right. Food wins. 3-2. It's spring. We have azaleas blooming here. It was a month ago today, because the way the stars aligned, we had the 14th of February was a Sunday, the 14th of March is a Sunday. It was a month ago today. We had started the deep freeze. I was on my way home from here why am I peering at you? I was on my way home from here that day. I stopped in a drugstore. I asked the clerk, of course we're all wearing masks, and you saw I had mine on, and so I asked the clerk a question which sounded like rah, 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 and she said rah, 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 rah. But what I'd asked was, so how you doing? And she said, I'm very cold. And this was inside a store at about noon on Sunday, and it was probably 40 degrees. And we had no idea how much colder it was going to get, but it did. And that was just a month ago. And I bring that up because if you look outside at nature, it has bounced back. It has bounced back. Today I'm wearing green. You may think that has to do with St. Patrick's Day coming up this week, and of course it does, but it also has to do with the green season that we have here now. You see in Houston we have a number of seasons, and this is the green season. It's tree pollen time, okay? You'll notice on your car there's a dusting of tree pollen, and it's only going to get thicker for the next little while. And that's nature shedding her spores so as to grow in profusion and beauty and wonder and maturity leading into the summertime. And let's see, what else is going on? Yeah, there's this. It was a year ago this weekend that we stopped having live in-person services here at Creative Life. People say, when is the center? They ask, when is the center going to reopen? And I laugh, because it never closed. It never closed. Did you just hear what Danielle said up here? Did you just hear that list of activities and events? Have you been following the events in the weekly emails on our Facebook page and beyond? We are busier than ever. The only thing we're not doing is having in-person group gatherings, but for the 5 or 6 of us that get here together on Sundays. The center is very much alive and well. I want you to know, a year in, and we're reaching way more people than we ever did, we could ever bring into this room. I know you're watching in Tennessee. I heard that because Danielle said so. And I know people are watching in Michigan, and I know people are watching in Colorado. And in Colorado, they're watching from under a couple of feet of snow this morning, I understand. And in California and all over the place. And who knows where all, because they don't all tell us. Also, there's a group of people, you may not know each other, but there's a group of people in Amarillo. And if you don't know each other, we'll try to connect you with one another. And boom, we'll have a study group there. So I'm telling you, this is exciting. This is wonderful what we're doing, but it comes at a cost. And the cost is, you're not here. You're not here physically in this room. You did not get up this morning an hour early to get dressed and drive here and be here with us. And we will get back to that as soon as we possibly can. But that time is not yet. You may have noticed when I was playing congas, which I was very kindly invited at the very last minute to do, I was wearing a mask. We wear masks off camera here, all of us who are in the room. I just looked at, well, anyway, we wear masks off camera here, all right? And we encourage you to do the same in the world, out in the world, because there's light on the horizon, but the sun's not yet up. So it was a year ago today that a lot of things changed. I happened to be out of town. A lot of people think I planned it that way, but I didn't. I happened to be out of town, and I had asked Reverend Lisa Ryan to speak. Now, I want to say this about her before I get into well, this is the body of the talk. This isn't, preamble, but it has to, I want to introduce you to some Venice Bloodworth material. It is Women's History Month, and as I said last week about that, and as I said in February during Black History Month, history is not always hundreds of years ago and people who are now just Wikipedia entries or something that we look up and see their body of work. History's happening right now. If it was 5 minutes ago, it's technically history. So in thinking about Women's History Month and this particular weekend, who I could single out as representatives of strength and virtue and wisdom, I went through many different possibilities. And then I came to Reverend Lisa Ryan and Danielle Mercadel, because I want to tell you a little bit about them. A year ago today, Reverend Lisa was scheduled to speak, and it was to be her first Sunday as a minister to speak. This is a very big deal to ministers. You never forget your first Sunday. You know how businesses, the first dollar they make, they often frame it and hang it on the wall. Okay, it's way bigger than that. I mean, it's huge. And we knew that we were going to be recording it, video recording it, for our YouTube channel, because we had been doing that for a while. But then that weekend, that Saturday basically, the world sort of shut down. And Lisa spoke. Some of you showed up because we had not yet closed officially the center. We did that the next day. Some people were actually here. And she spoke not only to YouTube, but she spoke to Facebook Live, unedited, okay? I mean live. No rehearsal, live. No bringing it back, no, horses out of the barn kind of live. Her first time ever to speak. I would have died if that had been my first time to speak. Back in the day when I spoke, stuff, they had to chisel it into tablets that people held, and it got passed around that way, No, seriously, I mean, and she did that. And she did that. And Danielle was here supporting her. And when, on Monday, Danielle is our board president as well as a practitioner, and so conversation was had with our board and with our ministers about, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And these two said, we're there. We're there. We're there every Sunday, and they have been for a year. And when I say here, I don't mean just sitting there, okay? They're working. They're editing stuff. They're commenting with you. They're throughout the week, and many, many other creative life people are working on our behalf. Make no mistake, but these two lead the way. These two lead the way. And I cannot thank you enough, and these people watching cannot thank you enough. And the messages of gratitude that you hear and that I get from people, I never knew, you know what they're saying? I never knew there was a place that teaches what I've always believed. Okay? And I'm out yonder, and I never knew there was a place until I came across this, and I am in. I am in. I am, you know. And so when we do reopen to a congregation on Sundays, we're of course going to, I want to assure all of you, we're going to keep filming. We're going to do this forever. So I needed to say that. It's been a year. And we didn't think it would be a year. In fact, Danielle and Sarah have hosted the first Sunday brunches that we had for a long time before this. And I remember we talked about 4th of July, man. 4th of July, we'll be back. Sure. Yeah, oh, heck yeah. You know, 2.5 months, this thing. No. And we don't know why. We don't know why it happened. We don't know how long it's going to last. We don't know what any of this means. And so, I'm here to talk a little bit this morning, just a little bit longer, having used up approximately half of my allotted time, about what we do know. About what we do know. The general tendency that our thought is taking. I want to introduce you to a writer named Venice Bloodworth. Venice Bloodworth. And read you a little something, and then we'll riff on that. She writes this in, let me see here, 1952, this book is published. Okay. She says, some time ago in a speech, the governor of Pennsylvania said that he had been asked to give his opinion of what conditions would be in the United States 25 years hence. So that would be in 1977 that he was asked to predict. His reply was, if I knew the predominant national thought of today, I could tell you what 25 years would bring forth. As with nations, so with individuals. Whatever your predominant thoughts are will be expressed in your health and surroundings, which means that your future is entirely under your control. It does not matter what your present condition may be. It rests with you to change it and make your future exactly what you would have it to be. There is no limit to the creative power of the universal mind, and it is no respecter of persons, but moves in ageless, changeless, eternal silence, bringing to you with exact precision the full measure of your thoughts. You may ignore your subconscious and through this inner self, your connection with the universal mind, but it is and will continue to be the basis of your existence, the all-pervading intelligence behind the vast panorama of nature. The intelligence that evolves every form of plant and animal life, that is all-wise and all-powerful, is your life. Is your life. You may ignore the subconscious mind. You may push aside all of the impulses and ideas and things that surface from it. But it is the source of your life. What a lot of people are recounting is during the pandemic, they've had memories. They've had things come up. That's the expression we use. I've had things come up. I've had this happen to me, you know, like a summer of where it seemed like not a lot happened in the distant past. All of a sudden, I'm there. And the music and the people around me and all of this, it's like it's there. And why is this happening? Well, psychologists wonder it has to do with stress and trauma, and it has to do with all of these negative influences on us, and there's probably something to that, but looking at a glass as half full, I tend to think of it as being, there's stuff there for me to enjoy again. There's stuff there for me to relive and learn from and go forward with. The subconscious mind is not our enemy. The subconscious mind is our friend. The subconscious mind is our partner. It is that place where every thought we've ever had has gone to rest. It's been banked there, okay? Those thoughts are banked there. And so it's our account in that bank that we draw from, that we use, that informs our thoughts and our actions going forward. So the pandemic, we don't know why it happened. We don't know how long. And I say there's something we do know. What do we do know? Our own access to spiritual power, our own access to spiritual practice. This is what we do know. So we go there and we say, all right, I'm going to know, first of all, that there is one life. That life is source. That life is God, if you choose to use the term God. That life is the ultimate ground of everything. That life is everything I perceive. It's also everything I could perceive. It's everything in form. It's everything in potential. That's the first thing I know. Therefore, whatever is incoming information is part of that one life. There's nothing outside that life. There's certainly nothing opposing that life. It's all within that life, okay? So then there must be, this is a step I kind of add, there must be an internal logic threading all of this stuff together. This must mean something. And the fact that I don't know what it means does not mean that it does not mean something. It means it's a language I haven't learned yet. Azaleas speak azalea. You'll notice very often things in nature will bloom all of a sudden at once. They say the coral reefs spawn on this planet in one 24-hour period annually. How do they do that? You've watched birds in flight. We're under migratory paths here, you know, and you'll notice in the goings and comings in the fall and spring, you'll notice how the geese and other birds, they'll all of a sudden just turn, okay? They'll just turn. They're listening to something. They're listening to something. They've learned something. Humans don't know. You and me doing this? Say, you want to turn? Well, I don't know. I don't feel like much. No, let's not turn here. Let's wait. No, you turn. You kids don't make me turn this car around. And there's all, right? All this about negotiation. Who's the leader here? Wait, you got to lead last week. All of this, right? Because we have these really active imaginations. We have this really involved consciousness. And we have egos. Birds do not seem, I don't know, but they don't seem to have egos. They seem to be all about the flock and getting it done and feeding the young and arriving at the destination. So they speak bird and they get it handled. They just figure it out. I don't know how to do that. So what a lot of arrogant humans do is they say, if I don't know how to do that, it can't be done. Right? If I don't know how to do that, it's like magic or supernatural or something. No, there's a science back of everything, even the things that we call magic. And I love magic, high magic, and as well as stage magic. But there's a science there. There's a principle there. This stuff is not random, you know. It's all guided by some sort of purposeful intelligence with which we can participate when we learn to speak the language of the heart, the language of the heart. So we begin with the idea that there's one life. That life has order and meaning and purpose to it, and I can ally myself with that order and meaning and purpose, which enables me to do what? It enables me to do better work on me, to be a better beneficial presence in the world today than I was, say, a year ago this time. This is what it enables each one of us to do. In her book, she quotes a poem, which I won't read to you because it's long and it's good, but you can look it up. It's got a line in it, and anymore you can Google stuff by one line and find it. And you young people, you have no idea what it was like when you had to trek to the library and go through card catalogs, but I won't go there. But there's a line in here that says, the best work hasn't been done. Look up this poem if you like. It's a real bracing kind of poem from, I think, the Depression era, you know, of come on, pick yourself up and you can do it and all that. But the best work hasn't been done, and I seize onto that line because it's true. The best work is the next work. So, for example, as I stand here praising Reverend Lisa and Danielle for all they've done and all the support they've been to me and to the center and to you through this past year, I am hastening to add to that they were not put on this planet to be support people. Okay? No one was. No one was. Everybody gets to be the star in their own life. Everybody gets to lead the way in consciousness. Everybody. And the best thing that anybody will create is the next thing they create because it's informed by everything that came before. Now, you might not like it. If you're a critic, you might say, well, I prefer their old stuff. Willie Nelson. God love him. Willie Nelson is coming out with a new album of Frank Sinatra covers, with his two sons playing guitar behind him from Promise to the Real. And, you know, if you're a Sinatra purist, you might have your head in your hand, say Sinatra, you know, he broke the mold. It was Sinatra. You know, well, Willie thinks so too. And the greatest gift, often a singer, as you guys know particularly, the greatest gift you can give a singer is to sing their song. Is to say, I'm not doing this because it's better. I'm doing it because I'm the next one to do it. I'm the next one to perform it. Phoebe Bridgers is covering a Goo Goo Dolls number. I don't know if she's going to do that at the Grammys tonight. Where, by the way, as you're eating your pie, watching the Grammys, you'll see Megan Thee Stallion, who is from Houston, who joins a long list of amazing musicians like Lizzo and Beyonce who are from here in every musical genre. So we should be proud. And every one of them, they put out music and the world loses its mind. And they sell a gazillion downloads of the thing, or whatever form music you like to buy music in. It's vinyl is coming back, you know, right? But somebody, somewhere, today, unknown, got up, picked up a guitar, put some thoughts on paper, began to string together a song that a month from now or a year from now is going to be the greatest new thing. Or is going to be the song that gets sung to hospice patients at bedside. Or it's going to be the song that makes a difference at one person's birthday. Or it's going to be the song that saves that musician's life. Saves that musician's life because they were able to pour out onto paper the things that they feel, the words unspoken, the tune unheard, you know, that they'd been carrying as a burden in their soul all the way up to this point. That's what I mean by the next work is the best work, the best work, the best work. And this is not meant to further burden you who discussed a year ago, as we did half-jokingly, with nervous laughter, you know. We said, oh, this is the time when everyone's going to learn languages. This is the time when everyone's, right? We're going to write the novel, pick up 1 million skills because we got nothing but time on our hands. Which was a very unconscious thing to say. I think here we said it consciously because we put it in context and we were joking about it. But over this past year, a lot of people have had no rest. No time off. No leisure to just sit there and, oh, gosh, I get to stay home, you know. A lot of people have worked harder than they ever have, and more thanklessly and at greater risk. And for that, we are responsible. So when the governor of Pennsylvania, whoever that was in 1950, I think that was Scranton, but I don't know. That would be weird if I'm right. But whoever the governor was in 1952, he said in 25 years the world is going to look like what the consciousness of today creates it to be. We need to have a really hard look at the consciousness of today in 2021 and how well we take care of each other. Because we don't want to recreate more of this. We don't want to have an underclass in this country of serving people who take care of everyone else. That's wrong. That's not holy. And that's been the case for really the whole time up to now, in one respect or another, and it needs to change. It needs to change. So how do we change it? Well, Donald John Lewis and I had a conversation on this stage. You may recall back in October. And at that time he talked about, it was called the race conversation. And at that time he brought up, he said, there are things I can control and things I cannot control. And I have to focus, he said, on what I can control. Or I expend all my energy trying to push the rock up the mountain, of changing other people's beliefs and other people's. Well, yes and no. There's a lot we can't control, but we can participate in the conversation and help steer the conversation through heartfelt logic, for one thing. Would you like to be treated? This is what Jesus used. This is what Jesus used. Basically saying, would you like to be treated like that? Would you like to be treated how you're treating other people? And if not, then not. You know, if not, well, then you have some things to look at, to change. And what we can control and not control, where that dividing line exists, is a tricky thing. But on the side of the net where exists what we can control, we know we can control ourselves, our own reactions, our own impulses, our own lives. Control is a word you might not enjoy hearing, then call it manage. Call it manage. We can manage our own process. So I'm not saying you should have done more in the past year. I saw a cute quote about that. It said, you know, in this past year, Taylor Swift has brought out 3 new albums. I have binge watched 3 Sopranos seasons. Isn't it wonderful we're all being productive? Yes. Well, sitting there watching television is productive, if you let it be. Sitting in the silence is productive. You weren't taught that. I wasn't either. When we'd go into the silence as kids, what would happen? Somebody'd roust you, wouldn't they? If you had siblings or a parent, they'd be like, "Are you dawdling?" That was a word I heard a lot. I was a dawdler. "Are you dawdling?" It was like the worst thing, like there's dawdler's prison. You know, there's like the worst thing you could possibly do. Are you dawdling? Because you're not doing anything. Right? You're gazing out the window in class, you should pay attention to the stuff that you already know. Or if it's, in my case, like algebra, we'll never understand. It's like the language of the azaleas to me, you know. Well, so we get called back from stuff to pay attention. But in the downtime, in the quiet time, in the gestation periods that we do have, there's a growth. In the repetition, there's a growth. In the misunderstanding of life and the zigs and zags, I guess you'd call them, that we go through where, I thought this was going that way, and now it's going this way over here. And I know with businesses and stuff, open, close, masks, on, off, you know, where the COVID is headed next, and is this vaccine going to work better than that vaccine, and what if I can't, and you know, all of this, we get buffeted around a lot. There's a live wire. Reverend Deborah Morwood calls it a thread. She quotes in her emails footer, there's a thread. You never let go of that thread. You hold on to that thread. There's something that you go to in your regular daily spiritual practice, and by doing so, you're engaging in science, spiritual science, putting new information into the subconscious mind. Yes, I can. Yes, I am. Yes, I do. Yes, this life works. Yes, every other being I meet is a godling just as I am. Yes, everything is either a cry for love or an expression of love. Yes, everything is either a revelation of healing or an opportunity, an opening for healing. Everything belongs. Everything belongs. And belonging is a big circle. You like the Vanna thing? The belonging is a big circle, and the circle is love. In that big circle, everything belongs, everything fits. And the circle is perfect. And this is what we mean by perfect. We don't mean flawless, painless, never uncomfortable, never distressing, never alarming. No. We mean it fits. It belongs. It belongs. It belongs. So a year in, as we mourn the passing of 500,000 Americans, countless millions worldwide, from this illness, as we honor the caregivers, the medical community, working day and night. People say, well, they get a paycheck for it, not for what they're doing. No. The frontline responders, the essential workers, the people who show up, every time you get something delivered, somebody delivered it. Every time you get something delivered, somebody packed it, somebody pulled it, somebody's working there behind the scenes. We honor all those who put themselves in harm's way for us so that the wheels of society might continue to turn. and we go to the store and we find what we need and all of this, okay? The people who, and maybe, I don't know, most overlooked in this, the educators, the teachers, and the children in the schools. They've been jerked around. Schools open, not open, not open, not. You know, learn all this stuff on this little screen. Teach all this stuff on this little screen. Deal with all of this kind of thing the way you've had to. People are heroic. People are magnificent in how they've risen to the occasion in this. And all I'm asking for everyone here to do, besides gratitude, which I don't have to ask you to do, it's natural to have for all the people that serve you, is appreciate and applaud the genius within yourself for having made it through this year and know that the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. And everything you need to know about what all this meant will make itself known to you, not from me and not from this stage, but it'll make itself known to you from within the depths of your own soul. And together we will move forward so that 25 years from now, when I'll be 90 years old, I'll be up here on this stage saying to you, we did good. We did good. Let's know together now, there is one life, there is one power, there is one presence, one infinite, ultimate something. This one is spirit, this one is source, this one is azaleas in the spring, this one is birds overhead, little animals that chatter and climb trees. It's you and me and our families and friends and our pasts and our futures and all of it taken together. Through this one, there is perfect unconditional love expressing itself at every point. I am open to this now, and I rush toward that love, to drink deeply at that well, to be reminded of who I am and where I may turn when life goes sideways, as it sometimes does. There is a place where I can go and be reminded of the perfection of all life. Be reminded that the mind that made a star is the same mind I use every time I think. And that as I fill my mind and heart with positive images of expressiveness, creativity, love, generosity, hope, I engage a law, a principle by which my life becomes better. And as my life becomes better, the world's life becomes better. For as is said, a rising tide lifts all boats. And so these places that have been called paradise throughout human mythology are simply glimpses that someone's had into the possibility of what we might become. Together we go there now. And for this knowing, for this community of creative life far and wide that has kept the faith, kept the high watch over this year and continues to do so and will in perpetuity, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
I know it's springtime because my nose is itchy. So I'm thinking now, after listening to Jesse, that one of the things that I would love to be able to do, but I mean it's Facebook Live, is have a rolling credits, you know, like they do on TV shows and movies. Because he named a few names, but in reality, yeah, there's 5 people in the room. There's so many more people that support this. I get him on camera occasionally, but Jeffrey's been here every Sunday. The rest of the musicians rotate out, but Jeffrey's been here every Sunday. And like the iPad we used to stream this was donated by Barb. The iRig that we used so that y'all can hear us without having all the weird background noise was donated by David. And then Melody is the one who came in and helped me, well, Melody and Kenzie, who came in and helped me figure out how to get the iRig connected. That was a challenge we weren't expecting. And then we've had this amazing rotating crew of musicians who come in and do these amazing music for you guys. So it's just like there are all these moving parts that we don't have time to tell you every Sunday. So there's that. And I do want to tell you that Jesse makes a big deal out of me live streaming that first Sunday. I had a choice. We had a little bit of warning, and home office started sending out resources and suggestions on how to do this. And, you know, I went and watched the video, and Jesse was like, "You don't have to do this." And I was like, "No, I will figure it out. I will figure it out, because I want to know if we're going to make, you know, glaring errors, I'd like to do it on me before we do it to you." So, which I don't think we had any glaring errors, except the initial one was we couldn't figure out how to get the phone high enough, and you should have seen the initial rig. Yeah, the initial rig. It was, wow. And it's fun for me to go back and look at the video, that initial video, and go, good God, we've learned so much. But in that, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There really is. And I know the goalposts kept moving, but I think this time, I think the goalposts are going to stay put, and we're going to get there. And we're going to get there sooner rather than later. But as Jesse said, the flock, birds care about the flock. And that's our job. Our job is to care about the community and to do what we need to do to take care of not only ourselves, but the community. And that's what Science of Mind teaches. And that is one of the things that I love so much about Science of Mind. There is one. I'm a part of that one. So I have all the rights and all of the responsibilities in that one. And that's who we are. So in that knowing, and in the knowing of spring, because I was out there in the garden looking at all of the new leaves that are pushing up, and that they are pushing off the frost and snow damaged leaves. And soon, there won't be a whole lot of evidence of the damage. It'll be there. But we'll have to look for it. And that's what we're working towards. So I know that there is one life, one power, one presence, one love. One life. And that life is my life now. And that love flows through me, in me, as me. And as I know this about myself, so too do I know it about each and every one of you. I know that this love flows through you. It flows through each of us out into the world. And as it flows through us, we reap the benefits of the love flowing through us. And what do those benefits look like? They look like love, they look like peace, they look like healing. They look like springtime. They look like kindness. They look like generosity. And I know that all of this is in us, through us, as us. And so as springtime moves into the world, so does the springtime of our being. That the new life bursts forth in all its glory, bringing fresh new ideas, fresh new friendships, fresh new love, and a fresh new world, continuously. And that is the gift of nature and spirit, this knowing. And I know this knowing, I know this love, I know this one life, this one presence, with all of my being and all of my gratitude. And yet, I release it, knowing that it is done through no force of my own, but through that which comes through me. and to relax, release, and know that it is so. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love
And
it.
I love it.
And so it is.